Now let's learn some more about operators. Operators are these little symbols like equals, plus, minus, times, stuff like that, and many more that we'll see later on, which are really little commands in C++. The assignment operator is a command which does like this: take whatever's on the right and stuff it into whatever's on the left. This is basically what the assignment operator does, put very simply. There's a little more to it, but that's not important for right now. One important detail, for example, is that this command, the assignment operator, will check if whatever you put on the right is capable of going into whatever's on the left, meaning are they from the same type? If you remember, we said that in C++ there are very strict rules about types of variables, types of stuff, types of meaning information. So if x is a integer, the compiler will make sure that whatever's on the right is also capable of going into a integer. So over here we have no problem. This is a number, 5. A 5 is meant to go into an integer. So the types match. It's good. He is a number and he is a number. So this can go inside of this. It could get a little more complicated if, for example, this was a floating point number, which has a fractional part. Well, here it's a little complicated because this isn't really an integer. It's a floating point variable, a floating point number value, but x is a integer, so how could they match? How could this be put into him? But the truth is that the C++ compiler will try to get over this problem, and it will just dump the whole fractional part and just give the whole number to the integer variable. Since it is still a number type, floating point number is still a number, and it can be figured out a way to work its way into a integer variable. As we will learn, this is called casting. Casting means trying to take something which is one type of information and putting it inside a variable which is of a different type of information. Like over here, putting a floating point number into a integer variable. But here's where you can really run into some trouble, is if you have a integer x and a character y, let's say, which has the letter u in it, for example. Now let's try to do this. X equals y. Let's try to take what's in y and give it to x, and throw away whatever was in x previously. Here we have a serious problem because the compiler has very strict rules about different types of variables, and y is of type character and x is of type int, and assigning one to the other could be pretty much illegal according to the C++ rules. But again, just like assigning a floating point number over here we are going to try and cast, basically figure out some workaround, figure out something that we can do to still try to assign y to x. Well, the good news is that there is a solution actually, because the character type variable secretly behind the scenes is pretty much like an integer variable. The stuff that a char variable really holds inside of itself is actually a number. The only thing is that whenever we try to use the char variable, what we get out of it isn't a number. What we get out of it is the symbol, the character, whatever that number represents in the ASCII chart. Like, for example, when we gave our character variable u, what really the character y is holding is the number 117. And it's just that whenever we try to use the variable y, what we get out of it isn't really the number 117. what we get is the character u. There are even ways how to use a character variable just to have its number 117. There are ways to get the number 117 out of it and not the letter u. So basically this goes to say that the type char, the variable of type char, really holds a number. So we have a solution to be able to take whatever is inside y and put it inside x. So what ends up happening over here is that the number 117 is going to get inserted into the variable x. So getting back to our character variable, what you could really do is type like this: char y equals 117, and that will have the exact same effect as typing one quote u and another quote. As a matter of fact, this thing over here is a r value, a right value, just like this over here is a r value. This over here is a r value which gives out, which yields the value 5.8576. This is a right value which yields the number 117. And of course it's a r value, which means you cannot take this value and give something else to it, because it's a number basically, and you can't assign one number to a different number, because they aren't variables, they are just r values, they are just plain old numbers. Okay, so that was for the assignment operator. Now let's check out the plus operator, the addition operator. The addition operator just takes both numbers, the one from the right and the left, and gives out, it yields the results onward to the left. So don't ever try to use the plus operator in the wrong side of your command. You can't do something like x equals like this, because you're going in the wrong direction, and or this or something like that, because the plus operator will take the results and pass it on to the left, not the right. So what you do is you take advantage of this expression which yields the value 14, and you pass that on to whatever you'd like. If you have a different variable, you could pass this value to that variable. Or if you'd like to print that out on the screen, so you take this, you put this calculation right over here, so that the results will be passed on leftward to this piece of code which will print the stuff to the screen. The same rules pretty much apply for the minus operator. Same thing pretty much. It subtracts whatever's on the right from whatever's on the left, and then yields the results on leftward. Same as for the multiplication operator and division operator. You would pretty much read it like you would read any normal calculation: 5 divided by 9, or 5 times 9. By the way, the multiplication operator is the asterisk. It's not what you usually see, the X or something. It's the asterisk symbol. And division operator is the / symbol. And finally we have our mod operator, which is the % symbol. And what it does basically is divide this by that and calculate the remainder, and only the remainder is what will be returned, only that will be expressed or given out onto the left side. So like if you divide 9 by 2, you will get 1, because 9 divided by 2 is 4 with a remainder of 1. So over here the expression is evaluated as 1, and 1 is going to be put into the variable x. That is pretty much all of our mathematical operations or operators.